Indie housing market. Get the latest insights right here.
Welcome back to Indie Housing Market. I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker.
I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker.
And today we have Steve Robbins, who is, what do we call, co-owner?
Sure.
Co-owner of Highgraden. I love Steve. Steve had me on a podcast a couple of years ago. I don't know. I said that because I've gone and talked to other brokerages and all that stuff. You know, my brokerage is aware of that. I think it's always smart to see what is out there, right? As an agent, I think, especially for me as a team lead or for you as a team lead, I'm doing a disservice to my team if I'm not trying to see what opportunities are out there for us as a team. I am a business owner. And so I remember I hadn't met you yet. I had actually met Chris, right? Your other business owner. It's you, right?
Chris Kugelhahn.
Chris.
And Brian Holly.
And Brian Holly, right? And so I have not met Brian, but I had met Chris before, and he had me come, and I sat down, and that's when I first met you. And we just kind of really connected, and we've just fostered a friendship ever since, man. I'm super grateful for that friendship. And it's been really cool to just talk to you through all of it, and I've always wanted to have you on here. And so it's just neat. I think there's a lot that you can provide that we don't always get to talk about, quite honestly, especially like being a broker owner, right? Because I think a lot of people think that's the dream. And like, I'm sure there's times where you're like, I'd rather just sell real estate.
I could address that if they would like
Yeah, I
to
would
talk
love
to
to.
you.
Yeah.
I would love to know.
Well, I mean, with
how you
those
got started.
individuals.
yeah.
First off, having you on the podcast, I want to tell you, our episode was one of my personal favorites, and it wasn't just mine. There was many people that were touched by your vulnerability on there. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's
And it
good
was
at that.
great.
Yeah.
So, but thanks for having me on your guys' show now.
Yeah, tell us how you got started that you wanted to become a broker owner. Like, to me, that just like is no.
Well,
I just it's
we didn't
hard
know
to-
what the heck we were doing. We there at the time, so there was 4 business partners. Chris and Brian, of course, but then Alan Williams was our 4th business partner.
Yeah.
And we all 4 worked for.
What year is this that we're talking?
So we're talking. We left the builder together, and we incorporated August of 2000.
Okay.
We were working for Crossman Communities, later bought by Beezer. We were all selling hundreds of homes with the builder and doing really well. And we had started to see these realtors that were kind of focusing on new homes. They were called new home realtors. And they were selling the hell out of new homes. And we were seeing how much the builders were starting to cater to these people. And again, this is before the housing crash and the bust. So mortgage lending kept getting looser and looser over time, so it just was making it really easy to create a renter into a first-time home buyer. Yeah. And we saw that opportunity, and when we first started the company, we were so different than any traditional. We were 180 degrees away from what FC Tucker is, as an example. Yeah. We were doing direct marketing to apartment dwellers and turning them into first-time new home construction.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, well, we're great, and the builders loved us. I mean, we were moving market share away from existing to new, but also if we were marketing your product, we were delivering for you as an individual builder. So the builders catered to us. They would help pay for the marketing and then pay us bonuses on top of it.
Oh, wow, yeah.
In 2003, we decided Indianapolis is a great market, but maybe we could take the show on the road and see what that was like. And we opened up an office in Las Vegas.
Oh, no.
Which prices were going straight up. I could tell you all kinds of stories about how they did go straight up. And we were doing the same thing. We were doing a huge amount of marketing in Las Vegas, selling different builders. In 2004, we did the same thing in Tampa. In 2005, we opened up. There was a couple builders in Charlotte that we were working with here that wanted us to go down there, so we opened up in Charlotte. And so we opened up one other little office in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and then the bust happened, and we were in Vegas and in Tampa and Florida, Nevada, and California were really the epicenter. Yeah. And we barely held on, and it really wasn't until so by 2007, you could see there was major problems. 2008 was terrible. 2010 was the worst year we had. And by 2012, we were really at the end of our rope. And February of 2012, you could see the market turn. And that's when
got really lucky that you were like
And what saved
you
us,
hung on.
what we had moved away from focusing solely on new homes, and what had saved us was Chris had started to focus on online marketing. And so we were doing pay-per-click SEM and SEO marketing back in 2004. And we were way ahead of the average brokerage in generate. And so we were still generating leads for our team, but now they were online leads that were coming to our website and filling out a form. And instead of paying maybe $200 for a lead, we were paying $2 a lead.
Yeah.
And
He's super smart and tech savvy. He's always kind of been ahead of the curve with that stuff.
That's his primary focus, and he's great at it. And he's, as you can probably imagine, because of his focus in tech, he's really focused on AI right now.
Yeah.
And developed a couple of really good products for us that are helping our agents.
Yeah. So when you guys pivoted, did you guys sell and manage at first, or just manage?
We sold until about 2003. By 2003, none of us were selling at all anymore, really.
Because that's when you had another location at that point.
Yeah, we were traveling to Vegas and to Tampa and to Charlotte quite a bit, and then still building here in Indianapolis. And then...
So even Alan had gotten out of production?
That was the thing. Alan was the managing broker. He was still in the real estate part of it, that part of it every day. And he had started to kind of build his business while the three of us were all like totally not selling at all anymore. He was kind of starting to incrementally build something. And so when the crash happened, he said, I really think I just want to sell. I don't really want to mess around with these other markets and travel and really just build my business here. Yeah. And so we're still good friends. I mean, we split it amicably, and he's obviously doing fantastic.
He does all right. Yeah, he does all right for himself.
He is doing okay.
So how old were you when you did this? Like in 2000, how old were you?
29.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So we picked Vegas first.
Yeah, well.
Wait a second.
And then Tampa.
Every market we've gone into, we had a local person we trusted to run it. And so we knew a friend of a friend, basically, we met, who was in management with D.R. Horton in Las Vegas, and he wanted to get out of the new construction side and be in the general side. And so we pegged him to run the Las Vegas office.
Is he still out there running that office?
No, he's not. He hasn't been for a number of years. Brian's brother, Brett, right now actually runs our Las Vegas office.
So you still have that one?
Yeah.
Any of the other ones you still have?
We still have them all.
Oh, wow. So you hung
well,
on.
there's been a few we've opened over the years and closed, but we're in 10 other cities. We're in Vegas and Tampa still, Orlando, Atlanta. We're at 4 in the Carolinas. We're in Raleigh and Charlotte, North Carolina, Charleston and Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, and then Denver and Phoenix.
Wow.
So
but a lot of those are small
trips.
Used to used to travel a lot, but hardly do much these days at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's.
And really, what's interesting is, you guys have probably seen this, that Indianapolis is ranked highly in the best markets for buyer demand. Zillow ranks us number 1. There's been higher net migration here in Indianapolis than there has been in any other city in the last 2 quarters that were measured. So we're real fortunate there. But in the other markets, the market's not near as well.
There's been an exodus in some of them.
That too, but just saying, if people are complaining about Indianapolis real estate right now, they should try some other cities.
How's Florida
doing? We're fortunate. Not good.
Really? Are they going back? So I started in 2008, so I didn't know a lot, but I remember all of that. But I remember Florida being in a lot of trouble back in the day. Are they getting anywhere?
Oh, they had the huge run up since COVID, but in the last 2 years,
because of hurricanes and insurance, it's been
that's part of it, and also just that's definitely part of it. But part of it is prices maybe ran too high. Buyer demand has cooled. And we've had listings in Florida that'll sit forever and never sell.
Are the prices dropping?
Yes. Prices are dropping in Florida and Texas, unlike they are around here, for example.
Yeah, people keep asking that. It's like, well, what are the prices doing? They're still going up, up, up. I mean, they are.
They were going
not
down.
As
now
much,
they're back
but
up.
I mean, we're not. I mean, we have a long way to go to be in trouble. But the list to sale ratio is showing to be dropping, a little bit, but we'd have to.
But when we say drop around here, it's like for a few months we saw it trickle down.
Right.
In some
Seasonal
places,
too.
Seasonality for sure.
Yeah.
In some places, it's been for a year or plus, maybe a year and a half. Prices have consistently
kept going down.
downward.
I mean, in Florida, I know some people in insurance, and I mean, it doesn't even matter about the price of the home to a certain extent, because insurance is so expensive because of the hurricanes now, that it's such a massive part of your debt to income ratio to even purchase, that it is like, it makes it cost prohibitive all of a sudden, not because of the purchase price. Well, I mean, I guess they're technically connected to a certain extent, but just the insurance premiums are that freaking ridiculous. It's insane, you know?
Well, we have a problem here with roofs and not getting insurance. And I was talking about that an event that I was talking to about inspection process. So insurance is coming into play here as well. And I don't know if you're seeing it, but I just had a purchase with a buyer. And I've always said in your purchase agreement, every single line you fill in matters. You know, so the one that says your insurance commitment letter, you'll get it within 10 days or whatever number you put there. I've had agents who leave that blank, and I'm like, you've got to fill that in. They're like, well, you know, we'll get one. I'm like, no, you may not be able to get insurance. And back in the day, it was kind of like, you know, that's just kind of saying it and throwing that out there, but you're going to get insurance. I just had a buyer who could not get insurance because the roof was too old. And so we were on the 9th day, and we had 10 in there, and I said, we're going to have to stop the purchase agreement. And I'm like, I got to look and see what number did I put in there and where are we? Yeah. And it was going to get us out of it, but the seller agreed then. I'm like, we are mutual release unless you put a roof on. And they're like, it still works, it's not leaking. I said, but insurance won't, I can't, and your next buyer will not be able to get insurance either. So people need to really pay attention to that when they're like walking in with a buyer.
I don't think most agents are aware of that
These are the little things, right? Mm-hmm. The little things you need to be watching for your buyer. But I mean, this house, they wanted it, but if they couldn't get it, they can't insure the house, they can't buy it.
Well, we used to be able to say, it's not that it can't get insured, it's that it's just going to cost more. But like, it's not, they won't even insure
the roof, period. So it's just, they had 11, the guy he could do the brokerage, 11 declines on that roof. So buyers and agents need to pay attention to the fact how old that roof is when you're looking. Sorry, that was a little tangent, but talking about the insurance.
So you have these different cities, right? And I think this is where it comes into hiring correctly and all this other stuff, right? And so like, we just run teams, not a brokerage, and hiring is a massive situation. I've made mistakes early on. I've always hired agents that I believe in, or whatever it may be, that I think that I generally look at somebody and I'm like, can they be a $10 million producer? Like, that's how I look at it. And so I've always hired somebody who I think meets that goal. Now, whether they do or they don't is a different story. And that's hard. That's hard to anticipate drive, dedication, commitment. Grit. I think is a massive part of this industry, and there's times where I've just missed the mark on that, and then there's times when I was early and I just wasn't a good enough leader or team lead at the time, or right to like foster certain things. And you were talking about how, you know, it's hard then, because when you bring somebody on, especially as a team lead, it's a massive commitment, and so it's harder to let go of people also, at least the way you and I do it. Not for everybody, but for us. And so it's hard to let go of people too. And I can remember the first time I was letting go of people, it was the hardest thing I'd ever done sober, for sure. I mean, it was like, I was like in tears and stuff. Like, it was really hard, and they were friends, and you spend all this time with people. Hard. I can't imagine what it's like for you on that scale. Or is there a little bit of a disconnect because you do operate at such a higher like CEO level than I would? But you also invest, like, you're doing both. You're hiring admin differently than agents, I would assume, right?
Staff.
Yeah, and so, but when you bring people on, like, you're in a weird spot where a brokerage wants to bring on people who are going to be really, really good, but like, for everybody who thinks there's a lot of money in owning a brokerage, there just isn't. It's actually, to a certain extent, bringing on good people, and like, there are literally brokerages built just on volume. Yeah. Right. And it's like, hey, we'll take whatever percent of like just a crap ton of people or whatever. And they're not necessarily always the best, and they don't do training and blah, blah, blah. You know, like, I mean, I haven't been into these places, but it's just what you hear. And so like, how do you find and thread this happy medium of doing that, of getting the right people, fostering them and keeping them? Because I mean, I'm sure you have people who come and then they just become this massive void, or like, I mean, it can be bad for culture.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Well, threading, I was going to say it's tough to thread the needle.
Yeah.
And for hiring agents particularly, if you're hiring new agents, it's a crapshoot no matter what. Like you just really don't know. There's 100 different reasons why an agent may fail.
Yeah.
And never have, whether it's financial runway, whether it's the grit. I mean, it could be a host of reasons.
Insurance, it could be so much.
Yeah, so much. And so we have over time, and really in the last 5 years probably, as we've kind of moved away from even being like a tech forward brokerage and more into culture, support, full value, I guess. You know, we have compelling commission splits, but we also offer everything that you need to be successful. And so that is threading the needle. And over time, we've been able to not just bring in the new agents and not be a place where people are starting their business, but where people are going to finish their business. And that took a long time to be legitimate. When you go from being a very niche real estate company like we were to being someone who might compete with the bigger names, whether it's Tucker or Keller Williams or Compass or whatever, it takes time to legitimize yourself. And so we finally, I feel like, have gotten there in the last few years.
Do you actually go out and recruit brand new agents?
Not on purpose. If they come our way and maybe a team leader wants to hire a brand new agent underneath them, or we just have someone referred to us, or they just find us, and I always say the rule is we don't hire new licensees, and if we're going to make an exception to the rule, then they better be exceptional.
Right. Well, it's
Interesting.
a lot more energy for one than you do compared to an agent who's, you already know their track record, right? Like what they've been selling and stuff, so going out.
And who they are as a person.
Yeah.
Like that matters.
What their reputation is,
We're very much looking for good people that want to work together. It's like really that simple.
I think COVID changed a lot of that. I know Tucker has done something similar. I mean, this is a large company, obviously, which is ironic because, like, with all of your locations, I would say you're probably pretty similar in size. It's just like locally, you might be a little bit smaller. And they've pivoted a lot more towards culture and all these other things because I think so many people entered the industry into 2020, right? Because it was, the market was doing well and blah, 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 and low barrier to a certain extent to get into the industry. And I think that bit a lot of people in the butt, a lot of brokerages, right? And then you invest time, money, resources, and then it can be like, it can almost kill not branch, but like, it can eat up an office pretty bad with just one or two bad people.
It doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much at all. And so I just think there's more to what you do than people have a freaking clue about. And like I'm not even scratching the surface of it, because you still have to be on top of all the other stuff, right? Like we were talking about how culture matters more than tech right now, right? And I think a lot of brokerages are getting that wrong, but yet you still have to be on top of tech without making it like your number one priority because everybody has tech now.
It's a given, and you better have it given.
Yeah, and you better be in front of it still, right? It's just like, what is your primary focus you're trying to give people? I noticed that you guys are culture. I always speak very, very highly of you guys, and I don't even work there, right? And I'm like Tucker and Highgraden, I think they're very, very similar in how you guys help people. That's just all there is to it.
Well, you have the feeling of you're a small, not saying you're small, but you have that feeling of a little,
tight knit or boutique in some ways. We have about 300 agents in the Indy area.
Yeah, but you just.
But we do have a vibe like that.
Yeah, just that you're close knit, small, like family feel. And whenever I get around anybody from Highgraden, it just seems like everybody's so nice and
and they're pros.
Yeah,
they're pros.
Well, that's great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah,
definitely.
I don't know. I just so you guys grew, right, and then. I think it's really interesting that Alan had that wherewithal to know where his passion really was, right? And because obviously he's clearly thrived, and for you guys to keep growing, and then is there ever a boredom that sets in with it? Because it's like, you and I talked a lot about when I was on there about my biggest struggle now is do I grow or sit still because I'm happy, but I also get bored, right? Mm-hmm. But that happens to you
get bored,
as
Kyle.
well. I do.
You do.
Oh my gosh.
What?
I'm a natural builder, and so I can keep doing what I'm doing forever, but I have this natural curiosity of what can we do, right? And I think you probably could run into that as well. It's like, what about this market? Or like, what if we open another location? Or like, do we go to South Bend? Or like, there's all these little things you could do. And
well, the big part there is if I could rewind the clock, I would focus more on depth and breadth. We were spread out more and we still are. Like, we're focused more on Indianapolis than we ever have been, and it's really by necessity. I mean, you can be spread too thin, and so no, we were not particularly interested in opening up any other markets. We're particularly interested in making Indianapolis the best it can be.
Well, and you're not 29 anymore, right?
That's part of it. But
you all guys all live here.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. The biggest challenge for me, though, or where boredom, I wasn't really boredom, but where a major shift happened that was difficult for me, was for years we had 20, 30, 40 agents here in Indianapolis that were all doing six figures income, and we're all super successful. We were providing leads, and there was a whole system. But as the real estate industry changed and we needed to scale to succeed and compete, going from knowing 30 or 40 agents and their families and everybody super well to hiring someone who I've never met yet, which doesn't happen a lot, but it happens. That having 300, you can't know 300 people at that level.
Not at the level you want.
Not the level. So I was, even though I knew it was what we needed to do, I went into that whole expansion of us as a brokerage kind of mentally or internally kicking and screaming, because I'm going to lose the part that I love the most,
which is the connection,
which is the close relationships. Yeah, the connection.
But has it been what you thought it would be?
Well, it's just taken time to build those one at a time.
Yeah.
And so there's more than there used to be, but maybe they're not as they're not as deep.
Yeah, but it has to be reciprocated, right? I always thought Jim does a really good job, Jim Litton. I've never understood how he knows everybody's name.
Yeah.
Like within 6 months he knew my name. I was like, wait, like
it's his job.
It is his job, right? And so I'm does he sit there and just?
He probably does.
Yeah. It's nuts.
He's very personable. You and him are best friends, and he knows everybody. It's awesome. Do you see that agents? I've always wondered this, and I guess it's from when I first started. It seemed like agents just hop around a lot. Like, what do you think the percentage is of agents in all of the industry here in Indianapolis? How long do they normally stay at a
that's
brokerage?
An interesting question.
I don't know the exact number on that.
Can you track? Yeah, I wonder if you could even track
curious
it.
We have the numbers where we could maybe at least go back 5 or 10 years and maybe kind of dice it up and see what we could come up with. I could look into that.
I was just curious what it is like, because
there's the people that do and the people that don't.
Right, and that's what I mean. So it's like, is it 50-50, kind of just keep looking and never settle? And then there's, I don't know, I've always been curious of how settled everybody is in the industry, or do they just keep looking and searching for something else? Because you do put a lot of time as a broker into somebody and helping them and growing them, and all of a sudden they're like, I'm out.
The way I look at it is, generally speaking, if the agent's been successful, however they define success, they don't move.
Yeah.
I mean, once in a while, something will happen that maybe frustrated them with where they are, or the shiny object that just kind of popped up for whatever reason, or a friend, or whatever, it happens. I will say this, just like yourself, you left and came back to Tucker.
Right.
And the thing I'm most proud of is the people that have left over the years. We have a super high percentage of people that come back.
Yeah.
I understand sometimes going out and seeing if the grass is greener.
Right.
Usually the grass isn't greener.
Yeah.
It's not.
Because there's a lot of things that are said that you're like, oh, that sounds great. And you get there and you're like,
that's not what you think.
Yeah.
And then also agents are very delusional when they have bad years. They want to blame anybody but themselves.
Or I need to change it up.
Yeah. And I also think,
where they blame it can anything but whether what they did.
Yeah, like their lack of effort. And I also think there's this, oh man, like people stay because it becomes inconvenient to leave, whether it's even beneficial or not to a certain extent, right? And so it's very interesting, like that side of the business that people don't really think about or whatever. And like that's where I just think it's really interesting when people want to open their own small brokerages. Like, I always think it's wild to me, people, because like
I can do this.
well, when I started, the rule was, I don't know what the rule is right now, but you had to be an agent for 2 years, and then you could be a principal, right?
Yeah.
Or managing broker. It may still be that. And I would see all these people with 2 and 3 years creating their own little brokerages of 4 people, and I'm like, that sounds horrible.
I don't know why they would do it.
Yeah, I mean, you got
E&O
and tech
all
and
kinds of stuff.
let alone like database. And
Well, no
like,
one's going to stay with you if you don't provide what everyone else can provide.
Yeah.
And so,
You have
And
to have
what are they
deep-
fighting for?
You need deep pockets on that if you want to provide,
Yeah.
compete against
if
you
you're just
or
your
somebody.
own person doing your own thing and keeping your own money and don't have to mess with anybody else, I can see a solo. And you see those, and
You do.
know, whatever. But owning a brokerage is not where the money is.
It just isn't. But
So would you recommend it?
I would not recommend it unless
I think it's personality specific.
I mean, I'm happy with it, and if you build it to a scale, the money's decent. But if you really want to kill it, selling houses is where the money is.
Yeah, I think it's if you like leading and if you like teaching and growing people, like I think it makes sense. But if you're in it for the money, which is what I tend to see, that's not the right move.
Right.
It just isn't the right move.
And I've sold hundreds or thousands of houses over my days. I'm done.
You're good.
I don't know if I'll ever sell another house again. Maybe. I mean, we'll see. I usually 1 or 2 pop up now and again. But
So that I could see that where somebody's been an agent for a while and they're like, I want to switch to what you were saying. I want to switch to teaching and helping and growing, and I just want to be the leader. But
It's a grind what
it's
we
at
do.
the
I
end
don't.
of your lifetime. In
It's
the
a total
business,
grind.
right? It's a
Yeah.
grind in the 50s instead of the 20s.
Exactly.
So when you're ready to do that and move on to something else, I think that's a big step backwards to think you're going to get less time involved in real estate. It's
I worry
probably-
about that. I'm like, I
Ooh, couldn't
don't know
imagine.
if I can do what I do in 15 years. I mean, it's a lot.
It is.
It is a lot. And
Well, I know our managing brokers, as much as I reach out to them and I'm like, and they're, selling, and I'm just like, I don't know how they keep it all going. I mean, you have a lot, 300.
Yeah.
So at any given time, you could be speaking to so many of those
Could be.
on issues, and then the next day it's all over again and all over again. What are you seeing the main concerns are right now in the industry from agents? What are you running up against more now recently, if you know what I mean? Like,
the mortgage lock-in effect, I think, is the thing that people still like to talk about the most, where the rate that someone has on their current home is in the 2s or 3s, and it just doesn't make sense for them to move. They want to move a lot of times. I mean, that's the complaint I probably hear the most. It depends. Some agents are super busy right now, and it's just always this way.
Yeah.
And it's usually the same.
80-20 rule.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's not one common complaint right now, actually, though, that I would point my finger to.
anything that you're seeing agents running into that you haven't ever seen, like right now, in regards to transactions or anything like that, that's getting kind of difficult? I'm curious because it's getting harder, it seems.
Yeah, you guys were talking on your last episode about being intense and getting harder, and I do think I think there's as much competition amongst the top 50. I really probably should say the top 10 or 20% of agents, and you guys certainly, obviously, are well within that for the opportunity. There's as much competition at the top as there ever has been.
Yeah, the professionalism has definitely risen. I would agree with that. I've never thought about that, but it is the haves and the have-nots a little bit. Like, I mean, you really have to be clocked in. And
paying attention.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, you
changing
just
constantly.
really have to be. Like, I don't really see. Like when I first got into the industry, which is only, I think I just celebrate like the beginning of my 9th year or whatever, and there would be agents who were super successful and then like take the 4th quarter off.
Right.
Like you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like you just can't.
I was always told when I first started that's when, as a new agent, I was told December and January hit it hard because of all the people that were selling were gone, went to Florida or anything like that, and then that was when I would pick up and have my steam rolling by February, and didn't stop because everybody else that was selling a lot, that they would quit in December and January.
That's where first quarters are made, though.
That stuck
That's
in
what
my
doesn't
head
make
this
sense.
entire time, is
True.
to never just let up the gas pedal, right? Because if you
Yeah.
do, you're going to pay for it.
I think the more, maybe to answer your question, Shelly, what's more current that is issues that used to not be is, one, there's still a lot of agents that are struggling with how exactly to handle social media. Mm-hmm. That's one, and that's been a thing now for years where a lot of agents are struggling with that. But then two, what's happening sooner than a lot of people even realize is how quickly AI is going to change everything that we do. And some people are already starting to struggle with that or get into, thinking about how they can change their business to be ahead of that curve. But that's very front end on that right now, even though I think it's happening faster than people realize. Yeah. Most agents aren't really thinking about that day to day, but that's what's starting to happen.
I think the social media thing is very interesting. And I do see, for me, it's always encouraged to, for me to have a bad year. Like last year was my worst year in maybe 5 years, which was still a couple years before that a record year, right? It was just the first time I'd had a down year in a little while. But I would see other agents who had their best year. Like Laura had her best
Turner
year.
did, yeah. Tina Smith said the same thing.
Yeah, Mark Branch had his best year ever, man. And he's been that's been years in the making for him to create that. You and I have talked about that because I think he's an amazing agent. So it's always it wasn't about me. The market was fine, and hey, I'm not entitled to grow every single year, and be sometimes I can own it. I just wasn't as good last year. It's just what I was more distracted, blah blah blah, and that's okay. I'm allowed to have those years. The stuff with social media, I saw something very interesting, and it was I can't remember who was one of the people who said it, and basically, just really leaning into social media and reels and video. And it was really refreshing for me to see Brian Buffini and then Jared James kind of back him up on it, that we're going to start to see agents lose production because they're spending too much time on production of social media. Because everybody thinks that they can be the Kyle Engel, who you had on your podcast, Summer Hudson, I think you've also had her. They're really, really good. And everybody wants to tell me to go be them. If I was going to be them, I would already be them, right? And so people are losing all this time and energy instead of just being themselves. You do need to step out of your comfort zones and everything, but I do see agents spending a lot of time putting out crap content when they could just be doing other things to create production. And I don't know how you guys deal with that stuff. Do you coach? Do you mentor?
We have different training on social media and a few different offerings, or sometimes it's just one-on-one conversations. Yeah. And agents that are successful, certainly in the office, I'm very happy with the group of people we have that other agents will help the people that are behind them and help pick them up. And show them. But, social media is such a personal thing. Some people love it. Some people hate it. A lot of people don't even really know what to do with it. You don't have to do social media to be successful.
I don't. I have Raquel who does some things, but my social media is my personal page, and if you want to get on there, you're going to see me. Yeah. What I'm doing with my family, my friends, events that we're attending. It is not about, I just sold my house in one day, that kind of stuff. We've talked about that so many times. Right. I'm not there to brag and be that pompous. I'm there to say, this is me. Get to know me. So if you want to go check the Facebook page, you're going to see me.
Well,
that's how I am.
Well, I also think you're going to see what you're looking for. So if you're on social media looking at how do I use social media, you're going to see all the people doing what you're not doing, right? Because it's going to be the loudest voice in the room. I know agents Hawkins and Cressley, who's with FC Tucker, right? I went to college with Matt Cressley, and they don't have a large social media presence, and they sell $80 million a year. You do not have to have some massive social media presence to sell real estate. For me, it helps me because I haven't been doing it as long as them. I don't have as much of a name or a sphere of influence or whatever, but there are plenty of super successful agents out there that you just don't know about because you don't see that. Scott Hoffman. Yeah, he does it. He does that level of business, and I don't see him out there doing reels and posts and all this other stuff. So, I don't know. How do you walk through that?
I think that if you're newer, you want to make sure that your sphere and the people that you might have a chance to buy or sell a home to, they know you're a realtor. They know you want their business. Yeah. Excuse me. Once you've established yourself, I mean, if you have a business and a brand, just stick with what you're doing, Shelly. Be yourself, and as long as people know you're out there to help them if they want help, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, you're not hurting.
No, I don't like. I guess I just call it bragging. Look what I just did. What I just did. What I just did. Wasn't that what we're supposed to do? Like that's what I'm hired to do.
But you don't have to do social media that way.
No, but it just seems like that's what a lot of the social media is to see what I've done, and I'm like, but that's what I'm supposed to do. But I think when people go, and I do get a lot of people that say they call me and want to talk to me about buying the house because they see my personable part of me, like, oh, I just saw that you were doing this or that, and they're checking for you everywhere. When anybody wants to hire you, they do a deep dive, and if your social media is in any way, disparaging against yourself, then you're not going to get the business. I want everybody to just see who I am. And if you don't like who I am, then that's me. That's just who I am. But he
doesn't do social media like that. And I know what your social media is. And like, in my opinion, you're still doing the same thing that I'm doing. You know what I mean? Because people would come to Highgraden because they connect with you. They like you, blah, blah, blah. And you're not in anybody's face about like,
I didn't feel
I'm the Highgraden guy type
no.
Yeah.
I didn't feel comfortable getting on social media. First off, it's not my bag. I'm kind of a private guy. I don't really want to just get on there and talk about this or that. And so that was one of the reasons why I decided to do the podcast. Was like, okay, I can create content, I love making real deep connections. So I can make a deep connection with an individual that is well respected in the industry and, kill like 6 birds with one stone.
Yeah.
And then have some content, have something out there that helps Highgraden, helps the brand, but also still fits my style.
Do you ever have to slap somebody on the hand for what they've posted?
Oh, that's interesting.
That's happened a couple times. Not very often.
I want to talk about
but
that.
But there's been like, sure that's an appropriate picture or.
Like, do you get involved in that? Is that part of your job as a broker when somebody's under you to worry about that because it's representing you, or do you not care it's representing them?
Yeah, the way I would approach that conversation is I understand why you might have thought that this was a good idea to post, but let's just think about the fact that does this represent the way you want to represent yourself? Are you sure? And if so, let's talk about why. And then, I may or may not have a problem with how it's representing Highgraden.
Yeah.
Right. It's you're just being helpful and coaching.
I'm
just
not
like
going to be a jerk about it.
No. I was just curious how that is.
I'm good at being critical without being judgmental.
Yeah.
That's a leader.
Yeah, I can point out, like, let's talk about these things. That doesn't mean I'm making you feel bad about it. We're just having an objective conversation about
like, how do you think this lands?
Yeah, that's always good because sometimes you just kind of went, oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
It happens.
I'm pretty good about that, and I messed up with it this year. So, I did it after.
A post?
Yeah. I'm actually like really good about staying, except for like about recovery stuff. Like obviously I'm very much an advocate for like mental health and substance abuse and all that stuff. Not for abusing it, for getting help with it. But but I try to stay pretty like apolitical, you know what I mean? And like mainly just because like that's not what I'm here to do. I have my opinions, but I don't need to blast them. Or minimize somebody else's. I think that's the bigger thing is I'm not here to minimize somebody else's viewpoint. And I did something after the Super Bowl halftime show, and I was like, why was I supposed to be upset about this again?
I remember that.
And like I felt it in the moment, and then like I woke up the next day, I had all these messages. Like most of them, were like whatever, like agreeing with you, but some people were argumentative.
Of course.
And like,
so did you take it back down?
No, I left it because it'll just disappear into the ethos. But right,
it's not that big of a deal.
It's not, nor am I. But I felt like I don't drink anymore. But like you remember, like maybe I drank differently. Well, clearly I drank differently than you guys. But it's like when you wake up the next day and somebody's like, "Hey, you remember this?" And you're like, "Oh wait, what did I do?" Like I woke up the next day because people were still messaging me, and I was
it's happened to me, Kyle.
Yeah, I was like, "What did I do last night?" But that's interesting.
You spoke your opinion.
Yeah, I wonder if Tucker does that. I guess I've never asked, like, if
you post the wrong thing, you'll probably be hearing from somebody.
I bet you would. Yeah, I bet you would because, like, at the end of the day, my contract is with FC Tucker, and so I do represent them, right? And so somebody would be represent Highgraden, and you guys want people to be their own versions of themselves, but you also don't want to be offensive.
Right.
I guess is the best way.
Well,
to
my
put it.
board has a keep on scrolling. That's their term for that, keep on scrolling, because one of the things that agents have to be very careful about is getting entangled with another agent
Yeah.
about things, and that's been happening off and on, like you said,
I've
social
seen
media.
some of that, yeah.
And there's been some fines from my board for the
missed that.
disparaging part of going against each other or brokerages and stuff like that. So
A lot of it
my board is
happened.
watching.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
not your brokerage, but my board is watching, and they just say keep on scrolling is what they say about that.
There
So
was a
be
lot
careful.
of that around the whole change of the BLC, Broker Bay, all of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was
There was like private
very
pages.
That's why I wanted to have Shelly Specchio on the show, was to talk about, like, she had death threats and
It's
stuff.
insane.
It's crazy. It's
That's
nuts.
so
and
crazy.
So, I mean,
She's the best person on this planet, and that's what I get upset about is people think that the people in my board are these, I don't know what they think about them, but they're not human beings. I think they just think they're these robots that are out there to go against you as realtors. My board and everybody there that works there is out for everybody's best interest 100%. Yesterday, when everything went down then they all get mad at the people. You know, it's still technology and stuff like that.
Oh, dude, I
Shelly
guarantee you
Specchio
that
is awesome.
They were like,
She
I
is.
didn't want this in my day either. You know?
I know. All I could think about was, oh boy, all the people at my board are having a pure you-know-what day, as well as the agents that are trying to get stuff done. But please, you guys, everybody at my board, just go meet them.
Agents are a lot to deal with. I can't.
they can be.
They can't. Well, but you hire.
It's the
right?
personality. It's the personality. I think there's certain personalities for realtors. I just think that, I don't know. Realtors are a special breed, I think.
They are.
Herding cats.
Yeah, but
Well, that's true.
that's interesting. I never thought about that with social media. I don't know. Like even social media has gotten a big push ever since COVID. Obviously, it's always been a thing, and then we have multiple platforms, and some people are good at certain platforms, and so I don't know. Like I think you have to be good about it. This is kind of what we were talking about when we first sat down. You've always been leading with tech. I think most brokerages need to and Tucker has become this, and you've become this, back to agent-centric. And I don't mean in the sense of what do we provide, because I think most large brokerages provide, or even medium brokerages provide the same these days. Like, do you feel heard? Do you feel connected? Do you actually think that they care about you and they have your best interests? Are they just there to support you? All of these other things. And I think the brokerages that are ahead of the curve on that will be the ones that are here in the next 10 years. I think a lot of people will struggle without that.
Yeah, as much as AI and tech and the disruption that's happening with everything there, the most important thing moving forward, more than even today, I think, is that personal connection and relationships. And so if you have that, Highgraden's agents are my clients, and I want to have a deep personal relationship with as many of them as I can. And the same way that an agent wants to have, and that is going to be the differentiator in almost any business as we move forward. The human touch is going to be a premium.
Well, that's where we're talking about the difference between AI and EI, which Northside
Yes.
MyBoard is having. The next two meetings are all about using AI properly, correctly, and then the second part in May will be about EI. And staying engaged
Which is emotional
It's
intelligence, for anybody listening, because
I
I
know,
had to
I had to
ask
learn
what
about
that
it.
even was. So
But the thing, like I say, of social media is just get to know me. If I start posting everything that AI has made of me, that's not me. So I think there's a very thin line of where agents will start to use AI too much, and they're going to lose that personal connection from people. Like AI could become their worst enemy, I think.
I think the algorithm will figure it out. You know what I mean? I think the more AI stuff is generated, the more, because right now you got to think with social media, if it is shared post, blah, 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 it doesn't hit the algorithm the same. And so I wonder if at a certain point they'll be able to differentiate what's original content and what is not. I don't know. I mean, that comes down to tech, and I don't know any of that stuff.
No,
But
it's just an interesting part of the social media is
I think in real estate and in a lot of businesses, there's going to be something similar to where my AI agent is talking to your AI agent, and they're solving a lot of the problems that we don't want to mess with, and then the humans get involved at a premium level. And my time is now, all the grunt work is being done by the technology, and then if I get involved on a personal level, that is worth some kind of premium.
So
and I'm not just talking
You
real
seeing
estate.
us getting some AI agents moving
Well, I think
forward.
he means like
This
it'll
is
take
down
care
the
of
road.
utility transfers. It'll take care of ordering title and title work and
Well, it
payoffs and stuff.
could be that your AI clone knows exactly as a buyer what you're looking for,
Oh, that's wild.
and my AI real estate agent clone knows exactly how to find what you're looking for. And they're doing a lot of that. I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
But I don't think this
I can
is
see
real
that.
estate. I think this is just going to be the way business and interactions are going to work, with the human touch having a premium.
That's
So it's
gonna
almost
be
like how,
interesting.
you talk about something and next thing you know, I see an ad for it, right, on
Oh,
my phone.
please.
It'll be like, we'd really like to have a place in the country with like, I don't know, a couple bedrooms, maybe a main floor, primary.
Watch your phone, and my phone's going to say the same thing.
And then it just kicks them up to me or
Tell
something.
Kyle about this.
It's amazing.
It is crazy. I worry about my grandchildren. I don't know what world they're going to wake up
You know who
in.
said that?
What?
Your grandparents.
It's true.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, your
It's so
grandchildren, I get, I guess, why you're saying that. But I mean, really, things are going to be so different. The world's going to be unrecognizable maybe in 2 years.
Think about like our parents and our grandparents for sure used to be like, TV's gonna rot your brain. You remember that? Or like if you sit too close, you'll go
Oh, yeah.
blind. Like all these, like I don't know. I wear glasses,
We
so
won't.
maybe that's
we
a
don't go
thing.
blind.
but-
I went blind and I had to get glasses, and that's what I was always told. The reason you have to have glasses because you always sat too close to the
Yeah, I
TV.
don't think there's like
That's my
evidence to
grandma.
suggest that though. Because
That's
everybody.
But
that
that's
has
what my-
absolutely been debunked.
I was gonna say we all work on computer screens. Like that's even
Yeah.
worse, you know.
Well, I just have to say this. So at my age, and I've talked to other people at my age.
at 30.
Yep. No, twice that. What is the concern is it's starting to maybe pass me by.
What is?
Just
Tech?
the technology. It's like, okay, now I got to learn AI at a deep level.
Wait, but do you think it's passing
do
you
what
by,
you're
or
saying.
or your care?
No, I think it's kind of like I feel like I've hit my grandparents' stage of I don't understand it. I don't know if I can understand it, and I don't know if I can implement it as I should. And I think the 30-year-olds are going to be the ones that are going to implement it and go past us older agents. That's just my opinion.
I can remember being like post college, and I had taken in college like an HTML JavaScript class, and it was hard, right? And then I can remember a couple years later talking to kids in middle school who were being taught HTML and JavaScript in like middle school, right? And so like I just think that's what happened. But then again, I can't tell you when I've ever need to write script in my entire life, right? But I mean, it's not the career choice I made by no means, but Chris could probably do it.
He's vibe coding now. He's just using Claude or Gemini or whatever to, I don't know if you guys have seen inspectionresponse.com, but it was something he built, which is really cool, and people should check that out.
A little plug for
A
it.
little plug for Chris.
When it first came out, I was kind of, I even talked about it on this show, whatever this thing is. And because my concern was, I think it's very, very beneficial, but I had fears. I hadn't seen it yet, for the record. But are we solving our own problem of getting rid of agents out of the industry? Like that was my fear around it. That makes me sound like,
I see why you're saying that.
You know what I mean? Because like that is part of my value of like I know how to interpret this, I know how to negotiate it. I also know that's where some people struggle is because they don't. And so it's like, how do you raise their bar, but that then minimizes my ability? And so that was my fear as somebody who's good at it, is like, oh, I don't need everybody as good at this as I am. I think that's a valid fear.
It is.
But that also doesn't mean I don't have other skill sets and stuff. But that was like what I ran into when I first saw it, and I was like, and then I told you, I was like, one of my team members has basically built the same thing for us, right?
Yeah,
to a certain
yeah.
extent, probably nowhere near what you guys have. But what it would do is save me a ton of time.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot. It's a lot to do.
It saves a lot of time, and for newer agents, it's actually very educational
Yes.
because they're way behind you, just like you said.
Yeah. Well, and I was very lucky. Like I know about houses, I know about building. If you're just somebody who knows nothing of that stuff, you're not going to understand anything. And then like you could get yourself in a very tough situation with a lawsuit or liability or something of that nature because you're not educated on like construction to a certain extent. And so like I understand it all. It was more like a little bit of a, dang it, that was good for me, and now I
totally get that.
The other thing about that, though, is no matter what AI comes back and tells you what you should do, you still need to be the person to look at it and say it's right or it's wrong, or there's something in there that's kind of half wrong.
Yep.
Trust but verify.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's one thing.
Well, the one thing I like about it, and I'm assuming that it conveys why. Mm-hmm. And that's the big part that matters. Like, it's pretty easy to say yes or no to a certain extent, but knowing why yes or no is where value is. Yeah. And I do think that helps because, like, I deal with new agents who don't know this stuff, and then I'm having to deal with being like, hey, this isn't a big deal and blah, blah, blah. And so, like, what I don't think about is how it would help me solve more problems by having the other side more educated, because like, you know, I'm self-absorbed and just want to think about how I'm negatively impacted, right? So it's interesting though.
Coming back to kind of a questions you guys were asking though, but how do you guys feel like 2026 is different than 2025 or previous?
I think it's going to be split into the tale of here's my concern right now. I have fears personally off of trauma from last year that it will be a tale of two halves. That is my current concern. I have not.
Why are you worrying about the second half when you're in the middle of the first half?
Because I didn't last year and it bit me in the ass.
Okay.
That's why.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so
I
that's
think
why
you're always looking forward, right? Like you're always looking like.
You got to think. I ended up with a bunch of houses on the market that weren't moving, and I was trying. Like we were way ahead of figuring out why. And I think we did a really, really good job of that in knowing why. But my problem is I had different conversations up front with people. And then I was like digging out of that until like, call it beginning of August, until we kind of really knew what was going on and why it was happening. And I see right now, an insanely hot market that started the beginning of January. Last year it started February 15th, so it happened even earlier. And it was really hot. And then like a week and a half ago, I started talking to a lot of agents, and like we have a ton going on the market, like seriously a ton of listings. And I started talking to other agents who don't necessarily always have that level of business, and I'm like, they all have a ton of listings going on the market. And then I'm like, man, I don't have a ton of buyers hitting me up all of a sudden. And then interest rates jumped from like 5.9 to 7 in like a 2-week period. Now they're back down to 6.5. And so like with the volatility of what's going on in the Middle East, and then obviously that raises gas prices and blah, 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 I just have concerns to be prepared better this year, that like it may do really, really well, but like the ass could fall out again. You know what I mean? And it didn't really make sense last year because, the ass fell out of the market in the middle of May, and rates were like a point lower than they were that time the previous year, and the market was better, right?
And it was still a seasonal time when we're normally selling.
Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, and it's interesting because we watch this on a weekly basis. So, like, I think if I was out just selling and in the field, I would just kind of, like, accumulate, the days and work through the days. But when we're sitting here watching the numbers every 7 days, we're like, wow.
You catch trends.
It's happening. What I think is happening is happening. And that's where it was kind of interesting. So we started to watch October and November and everything. It's like, is this seasonal or is it? It's, to me, what I'm seeing right now is the amount of all of a sudden multiple offers and everything. I don't know where this came from, but this past week, 2 weeks, it's been, I had a house literally in Fishers that had sat on the market for almost 50 some days, and I got 4 offers, and I had 12 showings Friday and Saturday. Like, what was that? I just don't think, as a realtor, you want to just say that it's just going to be itself and it's normal and we're just going to go, and then it's going to be August and September and we'll slow down for the season. We've just been saying, we don't know anymore. Right. I don't, like you're saying, what's happening. We don't know what makes,
because nothing made sense about it last year.
What makes these things change and happen? Is it going to be that we're in the Middle East conflict that will cause some of the issues? Now that would make sense.
Yeah.
But last year, what was it? Tariffs? You were part of it. You saw people do well, but like
I think uncertainty is just the word, that whether it's tariffs and everything that came with really the tariffs and administration and the change, the decisions that were being made, and no one, it's very difficult in this environment to get your arms wrapped around anything.
Because half the people think it's good, half the people think it's bad. And that's
too.
Very
and
palpable.
uncertainty is probably the best word. It's just there's so many uncertainty. The people who have to move will still move.
Yeah.
Will continue to move.
Yeah.
The people that have uncertainty are going to just kind of think about it twice and go, maybe not now, let's wait and see. So
If you're looking for a good reason to just sit back and wait, there's a new one every week.
Yep.
Correct.
100%.
And that's a lot of people, and that along with the spread in interest rates is what's really kind of keeping the market in a frozen state, in my opinion, right now.
Well, we were talking, I've had 2 first-time home buyers that I
In
was
general.
working with. Is they were getting their pre-approvals, right? And their pre-approvals were that 3 weeks ago, that 5.9, 6.1, that's where they were. And then I get a phone call, and he's like, we are at 6.7, 1 week later.
Right.
So especially first-time home buyers, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference for anybody. So the uncertainty of interest rates, not only are they watching it happen, but when it actually physically happens, they can't buy now. Like last week they could, and this week they can't. So there's so much.
Well, the interesting part, too, will be, we have a new Fed chair coming in, like all these things. That uncertainty, they will want to inspire consumer confidence, so rates will come down, but there's this uncertainty, and like people want to time markets, and they just can't. Best time to buy this in the past, I don't even know, 6 years was
yesterday.
December
Yeah.
to October,
Yeah.
and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Like it's already gone.
It
There
was.
was this great little period where you could get anything because agents weren't we were talking about this a ton. People were dropping prices, and there was no evidence to suggest dropping a price was going to increase showings, bring an offer, and people were just dropping prices to drop prices, and it was not effective. It didn't do shit, right? And so, I don't know. What do you think the market's going to do? I'm insanely optimistic. I think the market's doing really, really, really well. I'm just trying to not get caught flat-footed like I did last year, where we had at one point like 15 houses on the market just like sitting, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, because it happened June, like right around schools
How do you guys
getting
think
out.
the market's doing relative to last year to date? Because I have some interesting
Stats
numbers for you.
I would say right now it's the same, if not a little bit below. Personally, that's what would be my guess. Mainly just because I felt like it's trickled down a little bit, and like some of the early first quarter stuff was probably on par closer, but the inventory was low. I think we're picking up inventory, but I don't know. That's just my
Tell
current
us what you
thoughts.
know.
Well, if you look at the top 10 to 15 brokerages, and we have a platform that kind of, it's a recruiting platform really, but it breaks all the production down by brokerage. And of the top 10 to 15 brokerages, I'd say 80+% of them, probably 80+% are down 5 to 10% in units and down 5 to 20% in volume.
Interesting.
Of brokerages.
Yeah, each individual.
Wow.
Yeah, so almost every brokerage is down somewhere in the 5 to 10% range, except for a few that have hired people and
So if you're doing good,
Smaller.
you're doing good. That's interesting. That's the kind of stuff you get to see as a broker that we don't get to see unless we do a deep dive into MyBore and really start
Yeah.
checking a lot of
I'll be
information.
curious to see what that number says end of May.
yeah.
Because
Well, it depends on how the war affects things. I mean, the inflation rates have definitely, spiked because of the threat of inflation from the war and oil
Yeah.
prices.
and Justin was on here last week talking about stagnation. That was a new one.
Stagflation.
Stagflation. Stagnation.
So it's stagnation. So GDP falling or not growing while inflation happens at the same time. So
It's stagflation.
negative growth and higher prices, stagflation. My degree is in economics.
Really?
It is.
Oh, dude.
Well, this is something that can really go.
So
deep
what do you
dive into.
predict then? Is it like
Well, I think
it's business as usual.
As we,
for-
I think
It
that-
always is.
Yeah.
We
I
went
think-
through 2008, right?
well,
barely,
it's definitely-
as he said.
It's better than 2008, which doesn't say anything. But I think that we're lucky to be in Indianapolis, like we talked about, because it's really protected compared to some of the other markets that are out there. I think that if this is baseline as good as it gets for the current conditions, and the current conditions are not great when you look at the macroeconomic picture, the war is not helpful. It's not helpful in any way, shape, or form. And I think if we can do pretty well, which we seem to be doing okay with all these things considered, when we get through the other side of whatever this uncertainty is, which may be a while, I have no idea, but at some point, we're going to do very well.
Yeah.
But we're still just kind of waiting for that. Because really, in the resale side, we went from 2021 having 6 million resale homes sold in the country to last year having like 3.9 or 4 million.
It was like the lowest in like 20-some years, wasn't it?
So, I mean, when you're dealing with, a 33% cut off the top, and to get back, we'd have to have a 50% increase. We're not getting back to the 2020, 2021 numbers, but if we can get back to 5.5 million even, things would feel so much easier than what they did last year, and maybe what we'll face this year. I don't know.
Well, and that's what's interesting for agents. It's like agents don't know any of that, and they just think they have a good year or a bad year, and then they start to beat themselves up if they do or don't again. When they just don't understand the broader market conditions, and so that's why we try to come on here. Is because I wouldn't have paid attention.
And
to
I'm
this
not sure
stuff.
it's helpful if you go out and make if you have enough real estate conversations every week,
You'd be fine.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Some people, I've dealt with it on my own team where they started to get too negative, and I had to what do we do? Because I can see it convey into how you carry yourself when you're discussing. And so, you kind of always have to be optimistic, but not selling.
You guys, I was just sitting here thinking about while I was looking at your numbers and you guys talking about the numbers you put together every week for the show. And I was thinking, I'm sure that's a huge benefit and have armed with the knowledge. But then I was having this question, I wonder if ever it's self-fulfilling and you react to what the numbers are, and kind of it affects your mindset almost. And
I hope so, because I always see good in them.
Okay, well that's good. That's great.
I'm not seeing anything bad in the numbers. That's what's crazy is everything looks great in these stats for me and it constantly is. But I was thinking what you're thinking. If everybody could hear what you're saying, and how bad and doom and gloom, if you want to bring out all of those. There's just certain people that'll just always gravitate to the doom and gloom, right?
Yeah.
So
because there's opportunity in all
that.
of it. So when things are doing really, really well, and it's hey, the people are out there moving. Let's go take advantage of it. If I'm a seller, right? And when it's not, I'm hey, there's opportunity to be had as a buyer, right? You want your down market, here you go. Let's get out there and start looking. And so for me, it's always going to be one of those two things. It's either good for a seller or it's good for a buyer. And it's just who are you talking to make it work. And the crazy part is for a seller, they're also a buyer. And so it's where do you want to win? And most people want to win more on the buy than the sell for some reason.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought as to why.
People always want to feel like they're getting the deal on the next thing, because the thing you have is just the thing you have, right? And so I don't know. That's just my thought.
That's some good psychology.
I made it all up.
That's all right. Makes some sense.
All right. Well,
I do want to say this.
Yeah.
I don't want to be doom and gloom. In fact, I feel like I'm saying as bad as things kind of are in the bigger picture,
it's still good.
It's still not bad. It's still pretty good.
When I look at it, man, the numbers I saw stuff that has been sitting stagnant selling. That is so good for us, right? I saw stuff that was 270 days on market pinned this week.
Was Shelly's deal right there? Or
yeah.
70 days on market, next thing you know, 4 offers.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's so hard to convince the agents that you're not lying. Literally, they're
sell that on my team.
Are you serious? You've been on the market for this long, and you're telling me you have a multiple offer. I'm yeah, and I'm actually getting told there's 2 more coming.
Buyers don't want to believe that.
Nobody wants. It is crazy. It is crazy. But I'm here. Do you need me to send it to you? But that was where did this all happen in just one day on this one house? But it made me wonder what's going on out in the all of everything in this past week, and a lot of inventory was eaten up last week.
I just don't think an agent is going to want to get an ethics violation and lose their livelihood potentially over lying about an extra offer on one property. Like I just have never understood that.
But it is,
and if they do, then like
I know,
whatever. That's
I
on
know.
them, but.
Yeah, but it is hard to explain. It's like, no, I'm not kidding. It's just something happened, and I don't know what it is. But highest and best are due by.
It's bad luck. That's all it is. So
it's putting pending or sold on your signs.
Yeah, we do have opinions on that. Anyways, I'll hop in the numbers, man. We could talk forever. We'll have you on again. I appreciate you coming on here. And like, you just have a different perspective just because you are an owner. You have sold.
And more power to you, and God love you.
Just a good-ass human.
Appreciate your support.
It takes a special person, I think, to be in your shoes. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So Fishers, there was something I'm trying to change about how I look at some of the data I was pulling. So I kind of changed in the middle of this one, but we also got to think real quick. I mean, I'm about to get into spring break.
Yep.
Like my spring break just ended, but everybody else's is about to start.
Carmel's will start, and we're already
so
in
is
spring break
Fishers.
with others. Yeah.
Yep. So I had 41 go on the market. In Fishers, I have 178 active on the market, which is a slight uptick, and 41 hit the market. 29 of them are still active. 12 pended within a week, but 33 actually pended last week, right? And so that was one place where there was like something that went on the market last June or July pended. I saw that's going to start dropping. Obviously, one house by itself isn't, but when it's that old, it's going to impact the numbers. I have average days on market of 33 with the median of 7. Noblesville, I have 179 on the market. 34 hit the market last week. 22 of those are still active, 12 pended, but 31 actually pended last week, so including stale stuff. So we picked up some inventory in both cities, which is fine. That's what we're going to start doing as we get into this spring market. I've seen a million social media posts about like the top 2, weeks to list your house and blah, blah, blah. And like, I don't know. There's
no way to
it's
predict
property
that.
specific.
No,
yeah.
I don't. If we could all predict that, we'd be doing a lot better.
I know, but it's content and people pay attention. That's what it is. So anyways.
All right. So Carmel, 39 hit the market. Only 14 of those pended, but a total of 33 pended, so almost all of the inventory was taken up. Average days on market is 9, so that's still hanging in there as a lower number than we've seen.
Average or median?
I'm sorry, median was 9.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Average was 26, so we're under 30 days on sales for the past 7 days. But if we look at the past 30 days, we are looking at 45 days on the market, so it's coming down by almost half. We have 112 sold in the past 30 days. Looking at the past 30 days from last week to this week, we went up 14% in sales. So we're getting more hitting the market and coming right off the market. But the active homes still in Carmel, there's 162 average days on market. It's almost 3 months at 88. So if you look
super
at
high for Carmel.
I know. So if you look at the past 7 days, how many sold? An average was 26. The ones sitting on the market are 88. So we have the stale inventory is sitting there, and it's almost 3 months. If you look in Westfield, 40 hit the market. Only 11 of those pended. 25 total pended. Their average days on market is 43 and the median 17. So that's about the same as last week. 119 sold in the past 30 days. And then active right now in there 206. Again, 83 days on the market with those 206. And then in Zionsville, 9 hit the market. 4 of those pended, a total of 11 pended, so they lost inventory. Average days on market in Zionsville is now 43 with a median of 9. So all 3 cities, their timeline for houses being on the market's going down.
It's nice to see Zionsville performing again. Zionsville has ironically been the worst performing of all the north side kind of cities for a year and a half, ironically, which it was super weird because Zionsville is like insanely desirable, hard to get into sometimes, and it is underperformed considerably, I would say, for at least a year.
Well,
Is there a reason?
Good.
Don't know.
Good last 8 months for sure was a lot less. The current actives in Zionsville is 41. Average days on market for all the actives is 124. So that inventory is stale sitting there. But they're sold in the past 30 days was 24, and their median days on market was 7. So the past 30 days, there's been a big lowering in the days on market, but the ones that are active are different than the ones that are, the ones that are sold are different than those active ones. They're all sitting 124 days in Zionsville for average.
Yeah. In the Village still sells in a heartbeat, if not pre-market. I don't know. That's an interesting question. If there's a reason, my guess would be, and this is just making it up, thinking. There's been so much growth in Whitestown in Lebanon, and it's definitely been more like affordable housing. And so I don't know how much of the Zionsville market was resale of kind of like, I don't know, we'll call it 3 to 4s range, 3 to 5s range, instead of like they're kind of historically been a little bit higher ends. And so I don't know if as a result there's just been a lower attraction to their more affordable housing. That's my guess, but that's all hypothetically made up. So it'd be interesting to look into it if they don't see the same type of movement in their more affordable housing that like a Fisher's does.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know.
If
Find
we
out.
knew, we would be rich.
You know, we could have on to ask their opinion on that.
The mayor?
We could have the mayor on.
He won't come on.
He won't come on.
Every other mayor's like, yeah, sure. He's like, nope.
We could ask Todd and Megan Ferris. They're Zionsville folks. Love them. Folks. So they probably have a good read on the pulse up there. So, or Clay Bode. So, anyways, thank you for coming on. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, how would they get a hold of you?
Steve Robbins, Steve at Highgraden.com, or 317-339-2257.
Here we go. I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker. My number is 317-649-5122.
And I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker, 317-201-2601.